Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something truly powerful, the final verses of Surah Yunus from the Quran. Now, this isn't just some ancient text. It's really a timeless guide for how to stand firm in your beliefs with grace and dignity. It offers what you could describe as...
Yeah, that phrase right there, it just perfectly captures the essence of what we're talking about. It's the core message from these verses, this idea, this mindset that combines unwavering principle with a calm, patient heart. It's about how to be strong without being aggressive, and how to be clear without being confrontational.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? Let's be honest, in our world of social media debates and just polarized opinions everywhere, it can feel harder than ever to communicate what we believe without getting dragged into a fight. Well, these verses offer a prophetic playbook, a strategy that is just as relevant today as it was 14 centuries ago.
Okay, so where does this playbook even begin? Well, the very first step is to establish a clear, firm, and transparent stance. It's all about knowing exactly where you stand and then communicating it without any ambiguity. What's so interesting here is how the opening address in verse 104 is so direct and yet so incredibly dignified. The prophet is instructed to speak to everyone, and that includes those who are in doubt. He clearly separates his path from theirs, but here's the key. It's a principled separation, not one that's born out of hostility. He makes it crystal clear that his motive isn't about getting worldly approval, but it's about his accountability to God alone.
So right there, that's the first key takeaway. True leadership isn't about trying to force people to agree with you. It's about stating your truth with a calm confidence and owning your responsibility directly to God. But of course, a stance like this needs a really firm foundation.
Right. This firm stance isn't just built on thin air. It has to be anchored in a deep foundational belief. And for the prophet and for believers, that anchor is the absolute oneness of God. And this concept is called Tawhid. It is the central pillar of the Islamic faith. It's this deep understanding that God is one, indivisible, and the ultimate reality. Honestly, everything else in this playbook, it all flows from this one single powerful idea.
And this comparison just brilliantly illustrates the practical impact of that belief. The Quran draws this really sharp contrast. On one side, everything in creation is temporary. It will eventually decay and perish. But on the other side, God's reality, which is described here as his face, is the only thing that is eternal. It is the ultimate, lasting refuge.
You see, this belief in Tawhid directly shapes our whole understanding of life's purpose. If God is the only enduring reality, then our lives are ultimately oriented toward 2 points: his judgment and our return to him. And when you look at life through that lens, it really changes everything.
Okay, so we have the stance, and we have the core belief, but how does that translate into everyday action? Well, the next verses give us what we can call the practical grammar of belief.
And it's just beautifully simple and direct. The verses highlight 2 key actions. First, there's the formal practice, which is establishing prayer, and second, there's the internal awareness, which is maintaining a constant consciousness of God, a concept known as taqwa. These 2 things together, they're the lived indicators of a sincere faith. And this practice, it builds incredible resilience. The lesson from verse 107 is that whether you're facing a crisis or you're enjoying a blessing, you turn to the one source who has ultimate control. That mindset, directing both your pleas and your gratitude to God, is the absolute key to real emotional and spiritual stability. So this internal faith then logically shapes our external interactions, especially with those who believe differently. And this is where the playbook gets very, very practical for our modern world. Just look at that. This is a direct command from the Quran. It sets the golden rule for interfaith dialogue. The goal isn't just to argue. It's not to win, but to engage in a way that is best, the most beautiful, the wisest, and the most effective manner possible. So what does the best dialogue actually look like? Well, it's about using reason and kindness. It's about actively seeking common ground, like affirming the shared belief in one God. It's about acknowledging shared roots in revelation. The only time for firmness is when you're facing clear injustice. Otherwise, the whole method is about building bridges, not walls.
Ultimately, the principle is that how you say something is often just as important as what you say. Truth combined with good manners is persuasive, but truth combined with hostility, well, that just pushes people away. It is a timeless piece of wisdom for communication.
And that brings us to the final piece of the playbook. So you have your stance, your belief, and your rules of engagement. But what internal posture do you need to sustain all of this over the long haul, especially when you face opposition? The final verse, 109, it summarizes the entire mission in 3 powerful commands. First, deliver the message. Second, exemplify it by actually living according to what you believe. And third, endure with patient perseverance, a quality known in Arabic as sabr. That's the complete playbook: deliver, exemplify, and endure.
And the very last line of the chapter provides the ultimate comfort and trust. After you've done your part, you leave the results and the final judgment to God. You don't need to carry the burden of the outcome because you trust that He is, without a doubt, the best of judges.
And that leaves us with a final thought to reflect on. In our age of instant reactions, hot takes, and online outrage, what is the forgotten power of patient truth? What could change if we adopted this posture of patient firmness in our own lives and conversations? It's a powerful question to consider. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.